We will open the 2015 February ACIP meeting, and I'm going to turn things over initially to Dr. Pickering to give us the rules.
Thank you very much, John. I will abbreviate this because of the time constraints. Good morning to everyone here and welcome to our abbreviated meeting. And we appreciate everyone's understanding about CDC's closure yesterday due to weather. So we will have an expedited meeting that John will lead very expeditiously. Stephanie Thomas and Natalie Green are with us to assist with any meeting functions, and everyone's familiar with both Stephanie and Natalie. The abbreviated agenda today will allow us to adjourn about 2 p.m. After business is completed. Handouts of the slides that will be shown, the updates have been provided to the ACIP members, and hopefully some of them are out on the table, but I'm not sure of that. They may be out there, but they will be shown and everyone will be able to see them. Slides presented at this meeting will be posted on the ACIP website about 3 to 4 weeks following completion of the meeting after they are made 508 compliant. The live webcast videos will be posted in approximately 4 weeks, and the meeting minutes will be posted on the ACIP website. The meeting minutes for the last meeting already are posted under record time after review. Members of the press who are interested in conducting interviews with ACIP members should contact Michael Sennett, Joey Smith, or Katie Hoskins for assistance in arranging the interviews, and they all have their hands up at the press table, and thank you for being here and your help. We welcome international visitors. This is one of the real highlights that John and I feel of our meetings, is the ability to interact with our international visitors. So that nearly every meeting, and we have 3 countries represented this meeting, but at nearly every meeting we have a delegation from a member country of the World Health Organization, Pan American Health Organization of the PAHO region. We welcome members of Peru's National Immunization Technical Advisory Group, who are led by Dr. Roberto Espenzoa, and if they could stand so we could recognize you, welcome to CDC. We also have 7 members of India's National Technical Advisory Group on Immunizations, or NTAG, led by Dr. Kong, and 3 members of the NTAG Secretariat, and they're all seated here. Welcome. Many people throughout CDC and the Global Immunization Division and ACIP and others have had the opportunity to interact with both the group from Peru and the group from India, and it's been a real exchange of knowledge between our groups and your groups. And again, we really appreciate your being here. Also with us are 3 longtime friends from Japan, Dr. Hosoya, who is Chair of Pediatrics and Professor of Pediatrics at Fukushima Medical University in Japan, Dr. Okabe, who is Director General of the Kawasaki City Institute of Public Health, and Dr. Hajime Kamaya, who's Medical Officer of the National Institutes of Infectious Diseases in Tokyo, Japan. Welcome back. It's wonderful to see you. The next ACIP meeting will convene at CDC on Wednesday and Thursday, June 24th and 25th. And just as a reminder, we have all of our ACIP meetings planned for the next 4 years, so everyone can put them on their calendars and not miss a meeting. The registration for the next meeting and for all attendees is required and will be open this Friday on the ACIP website. The registration deadline for U.S. citizens is June 10th, and for non-U.S. citizens, registration is June the 3rd. Registration, of course, is not required for webcast viewing. We request that all cell phones be turned off to avoid disruption. The topics presented at ACIP meetings include open discussion with time reserved for public comment, which is considered very carefully by ACIP members. Time for public comment pertaining to topics on the agenda has been scheduled following the last session of the day, but time for public comments also may be provided prior to specific votes by ACIP members to enable these comments to be considered by ACIP before the vote is taken. And people who plan to make public comments, please sign up at the back of the room with Stephanie Thomas. And you need to provide 3 pieces of information, of course, the name, organization, and if applicable, any conflicts of interest. Disclosures. To summarize conflict of interest provisions applicable to the ACIP is noted in the ACIP Policies and Procedures Manual, which I'm sure all of you are familiar with. Members of the ACIP agree to forego participation in certain activities related to vaccines during their tenure on the committee. For certain other interests that potentially enhance a member's expertise while serving on the committee, CDC has issued limited conflict of interest waivers, which will be declared if any member has them. Members who conduct vaccine clinical trials or serve on data safety monitoring boards may present to the committee on matters related to those vaccines, but these members are prohibited from participating in committee votes on issues related to those vaccines. Regarding other vaccines of the concerned company, a member may participate in discussion with the proviso that she or he abstains on all votes related to the vaccines from that company. It's important to note that at the beginning of each meeting, ACIP members state any conflicts of interest, and Dr. Temte will ask for those in a moment. Now, the next slide on the screen shows the ACIP website where instructions for submission of names of potential candidates to serve on ACIP are found. Applications for ACIP membership are due no later than November 13th, 2015 for the 4-year term, which begins in July of 2016. At every meeting, on the next slide, we provide an update on the status of ACIP recommendations. There have been 2 ACIP recommendations published in MMWR since the last meeting, the Childhood and Adolescent Immunization Schedule and the Adult Immunization Schedule. Recommendations and immunization schedules can be downloaded from the ACIP website. ACIP has a policy that all recommendations are reviewed and then renewed, revised, or retired every 3 years. With that, we'd now like to have Dr. Temte do roll call of the members and also the ex officios. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pickering. So we will start with Ms. Pellegrini and go around to your left. That will be you, Art. And just conflicts of interest.
That would be clockwise.
Keeping it simple for starters. Pellegrini, no conflicts.
Reingold, no conflicts.
Campos Outcalt, no conflicts.
Vasquez, no conflict.
Bocchini, no conflict.
Riley, no conflict.
Camp, no conflicts.
Karen, no conflicts.
Belongia, I receive research funding from MedImmune and have a conflict on influenza.
Harrison, no conflict.
Harriman, no conflict.
Romero, no conflict.
Rubin, no conflict.
Bennett, no conflict.
And Temte, no conflict. And if I can then go to the ex officio members, so we can just have you give your names and check in.
Eric Sergienko, DOD.
Wellington Sun from the FDA.
Bruce Gallen, National Vaccine Program Office.
Thank you very much. And we do have a quorum. A couple points of order here. We are under incredibly restricted time. And it will we'll have a tendency to speak quickly, but we are also simulcast translation of this meeting. So if you're just careful for this, we would appreciate that. Are we? And I'm just going to queue up just a couple slides here. I'm just going to take us through this very, very quickly. We are under a lot of time pressure, but not under so much pressure that we can't take a little time. So if you can click at once to acknowledge the years of service of Dr. Larry Pickering, who is sitting here next to me. I had the pleasure of first meeting Larry. He doesn't remember this, but we were both part of the 2000 measles elimination meeting held here in Atlanta in March. And over those years, I noticed the number of people at that meeting, the numbers who have been here as well. We're also have the great pleasure of having Larry's wife, Mimi, and his daughter, Maggie, sitting. Please stand up. I'd like to. And if you don't know, I just have to mention that all of us sitting around this table have benefited by the hospitality of the Pickerings because at meetings they will host some of the ACIP members for a break, usually after the first night when we're really tense, and for a wonderful home-cooked meal and hospitality. So our thank you goes out to the Pickerings for this. Now, Larry is a pediatrician, and I thought the best way to start out with this is an image. And this literally I picked out about a month ago, but if I can have the next slide. Calvin and Hobbes, the very last comic strip for Calvin and Hobbes was in 1995. And if you can read it, oh, good, you can see it up there in big letters. But this was the very last, and as a pediatrician, I just thought this was very appropriate. But the first line, wow, it really snowed last night. Isn't it wonderful? But this just kind of expresses, especially when you get down to it's a magical world, Hobbes, old buddy. And let's go exploring. So I'm going to just take a few moments to explore a couple things from Larry. And again, thanks to Mimi and Gene Smith. Next slide, please. Hard to find any image of Larry as an infant, but this was in AP News. And this is the recognition to Larry for 5 editions of the Red Book and covering 15 years. If you can't see it from there, but there's a comment down there by Carol Baker turning the Red Book into the Fuchsia Book, and she says, I hate it, I'm out of here. Okay. Next slide, please. I have the occasion to work with a lot of medical students and residents. Here's Larry at the West Virginia University School of Medicine, and I have never seen a medical student look so pure or earnest. Next slide. This is Larry receiving the West Virginia University Medical School Alumnus of the Year Award, but with his mentor, Dr. Gwen Hogan. And next slide. And then Larry trained at Washington University in St. Louis and did his ID fellowship. And this is Larry and Mimi, along with Dr. Fagan, who was his mentor there. Next slide. Larry practiced at University of Texas Health Sciences Center at Houston. And a conversation with Dr. Romero the other night indicates that, and he said, Larry won't remember this, but I applied for the fellowship there and didn't take it. I mentioned this to Larry, and Larry said, that was the worst decision Dr. Romero ever made. Just so that goes in the record. But over the years, Larry trained a great number of fellows. The next slide, please. He served as the president of the Pediatric Infectious Disease Society America. Sitting next to him is Dr. Baker in the back row. Second to the left is our Dr. Ornstein. And I think I see Dr. Plotkin there, and I see the chair of the University of Wisconsin Department of Pediatrics there as well. So, next slide. Larry also received the Pediatric Infectious Disease Society's Distinguished Service Award. Through his many endeavors, Dr. Pickering's passion and energies have improved the lives of children throughout the United States and around the world. Next. As the Executive Secretary of ACIP, Larry has overseen more than 25 ACIP meetings. He has brought uniformity in presentations. He has really upped the level of everything being done here. We're assured of high quality product. He's conducted meetings through outbreaks, a pandemic, a government shutdown, and now during a southern snowstorm. He shepherded over 50 ACIP-related MMWR articles, including universal flu and Tdap in pregnancy. He was instrumental in the adoption of the grade methodology in 2010, has been an eloquent spokesperson for vaccines and CDC's immunization policies and recommendations. And finally, he's just graced us all with expertise, his experience, level-headedness, his sensibilities, sensitivities, wisdom, and leadership over these last 9 years. Next slide. So he's retired from CDC. I think he will continue to doing some pediatric infectious disease practice, but I think he's going to have a lot more time to spend, especially with his granddaughters shown there on the photo on the left, and also with his family. Again, Maggie's here, and his son, Andy, who was not able to be here today. Next slide. So, actually, that's the wrong one. Could you click it again, please? That's better. So it's a magical world, Ariel, buddy. And the last slide, please. One more click. And we just want to give you our thanks and appreciation for your many endeavors to keep it a magical world for millions of children and adults out there. So in the spirit of the very last bit of the Kelvin Hobbes, let's go exploring, and we'll ask the meningococcal group to come up and get started. Thank you so much.
Thank you.